what's going on, everybody? It's your pal Spaz Phoenix along with Kristen. This is FLIX Fix, but we're not talking about FLIX this time. That was a terrible intro. That was a terrible intro. We're talking about WandaVision. How are you?
I was going to think of something clever to say, and it couldn't come out. So.
We didn't have anything. It's tired in here. We just finished talking.
No, I'm full of energy now. Golly gee willikers.
Yep.
Nope, that's what I'm going with. You shut the fuck up.
Anyways.
Yeah, I'm keeping it. I'm trying to be peppy. Okay, we're just coming off the heels of talking about the Joker, so I'm trying to get this maximum effort here.
We've gone from the dark and gritty DC Black Label to Marvel, where everything's happy and fun and wonderful.
Golly gee.
And the WandaVision, the first 2 episodes of WandaVision dropped on Friday, and I don't know that we can. I said this to you before we came on the air. To be fair, I don't think we can review this as a beginning to end thing like we do with the movies usually. I think this is a lot of fun so far.
It is. It's so much fun.
It's so different.
It's so different. You're trying to figure out what's happening, but it's also hilarious.
I love the double layerness of it all. I love we're literally watching what's in front of us and trying to read the other layer behind it at the same time. Basically, from what we know so far, and a lot of this is interpretive, so if you have a different interpretation, I really hope you jump in and give me your 2 cents. But basically, we start off, WandaVision is starting right after, I think it's supposed to be right after Endgame, even though we've had...
I'm not even sure what's happening when it's placed, really.
Well, it's placed
to be completely honest. I came into this one pretty blind, other than I haven't read any background about it. So I am I'm taking it along with everybody else.
To the best of my understanding, I've been watching a lot more Emergency Awesome, who breaks down trailers and all that kind of shit way better than I ever could. To the best of my understanding, this is supposed to be right after the events of Endgame and Infinity War, obviously Wanda losing Vision. I don't know whether it's before or after the, what's it called? Spider-Man Far From Home. But Spider-Man Far From Home is basically a 2-hour funeral for Iron Man. So that's over in another corner. But Wanda is in this sort of fake reality that she's created for herself. Obviously, if it's her own fake reality, Vision is back. It sort of takes the form of a sitcom. Obviously, the outside world is still the outside world, which is why I say it's current day. The 50s, 60s-ness of it that we're going to talk about in a second is really encapsulated in her reality, because the rest of, I think MCU is actually set in 2023. The rest of 2023 is still happening outside of her bubble. What we're seeing is her bubble as it exists to her. Now, that's what I've gotten from people that are doing reviews and previews and all that sort of thing. What I didn't see until this week was an interview with, I was about to say Mary-Kate Olsen. It's not. It's Elizabeth Olsen, who's saying it was never directly the purpose of the show, but she hopes that this show and the concept of this show and her sort of being lost in her own mind and all that kind of thing will come across as a metaphor for mental health and dealing with grief and not wanting to deal with reality and all that sort of thing. Because basically that's what Scarlet Witch is doing. She can't handle the fact that she lost Vision, she lost the love of her life and all that kind of thing. So this whole existence that she has right now is like a materialization of denial and not wanting to deal with the real world. And wanting to have this little perfect world with the person that she loved, and she wanted to have that, so she basically made it happen because her power comes from the Reality Stone. But that being said, it really does take the form of a sitcom, to the point where the first episode...
Each episode is
a decade.
In a specific decade. So the first episode we start in the 50s.
Next
in
one's
the second
60s.
episode it's the 60s. And moving from the second episode into the third episode, you start to see color changes and whatever to move into the 70s.
Yeah. I am going to talk about the episodes a little bit separate. We're not going to, like I said, we're not going to do a complete like beginning to end type of review
Yeah.
like we do with the movies. I am going to sort of separate the conversation to the two episodes because it is worth saying what each one brings to the table. I do love the new Marvel logo fading to the black and white logo. Nice simple thing to start. I like the fact that it's in letterbox style. It doesn't fit on a modern day widescreen because, you know, shows from the 50s didn't do that. They fit on the more square TV. The really, really cheesy sitcom-y intro music that they have. Apparently, little side note, they got the music team that did all the music for Frozen to write all the little different intros that all these episodes are going to have.
That's awesome.
Yep. See, every now and then it pays to be part of Disney. Well, and all your shit.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I'm reading like some of the cast and stuff.
Yeah.
In the second episode, the neighbor Grenadine, the black lady,
Yeah.
is the daughter of Captain Marvel's friend.
Oh, Rambeau, yeah.
Yes. That's Rambeau's daughter grown up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. This is where we're gonna talk about Easter eggs. We're gonna talk about who's come from where, all that sort of thing. I do like in the first episode, she was doing her magic and around the kitchen, just doing the dishes and all that sort of thing. But they didn't do like super high end Marvel special effects. They did like suspended animation, like they would have had to do back in the 50s. Like it's one.
Oh yeah, there are some real hard like when she makes their rings appear in the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
How it does that hard cut.
Yeah, I think they said at one point you see near the beginning where she's washing the dishes, but the dishes are all like floating and washing themselves. They were like one step away from literally like having all the things that were supposed to be flying on literal strings, because that's what they would have had to do back in the 50s. The whole idea when she's talking to her neighbor,
Agnes.
Yeah, Agnes, who is apparently Agatha Harkness from the comics.
Yeah.
Who's apparently
I was about to say, I believe that's what it's gonna.
All I know is she's a sorcerer from the comics. If you know more, I would love you to chime in.
She is and she isn't. She's kind of like, she has like foresight, I believe.
Okay.
I'll look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say, if you talk about her being a sorcerer, then I imagine her being closer to a Doctor Strange villain than a Scarlet Witch villain. But the two of them are
kind of like more encompassed with if I'm remembering correctly, with like Mystique and Rogue and all of that. Here, I'm pulling it up right now.
Oh, like legit X-Men villain.
Yeah, like X-Men
okay.
stuff.
No, because everywhere I've heard her
Apparently she first appeared in the Fantastic Four.
Okay. Because I'm sorry, I hear stories.
Looks like she is the apparently she mentors Wanda in real magic at some point.
Okay. I guess if she's going to be a villain at some point, I guess she does some of the stuff in the comics that Doctor Strange is
she's basically like, she's full on, like, as opposed to like being a mutant or something, she's just full on like magic user.
Okay.
I was incorrect. Some of the X-Men lore escapes me. There's so many characters that it's hard to.
And see, all my knowledge of X-Men only comes from the movies. So, very much like when I do a wrestling video with Jake, and I thank him for being an encyclopedia. Kristen does, on many, many occasions, become my comic book encyclopedia / really, really fast Googler. Some of the other stuff though, like the what I love about this is the simplicity of it. Like the simple, like they're taking the piss out of like the cliches from the old sitcoms.
And it's funny, guys.
It is
actually funny.
Like the whole fact that like she's got a she's got the neighbor that comes over, and they sit on the couch, and they're going to read the magazines, and the magazines are going to tell them how to please their man, and all that type of thing. And when we get into the second episode, there's a lot more like female political type stuff that I'm sure you loved, but
well, I mean, that was they stick with the era. That's
absolutely
part
true.
of that era.
She has to keep reminding Vision that they need to fit in, so he needs to put his human face on. It's always good. I love the little in-joke that the guy who's an android works at a computer company.
And he just does computations.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is it that we, like, do here?
And see, I love that, because that is a piss take of sitcoms. Because you get somebody that comes home from work and is like, oh, you wouldn't believe the reports I had to do today. You never find out, like, what the reports are or what they're reporting, or like the nothingness of like whatever happens outside the house.
He had a full-on conversation with one of his coworkers about, so like, do we sell a product?
Nope.
Do we provide a service?
We're just processing the information, and you do it better than anybody, buddy.
And our productivity is up 300% since you got here.
And they keep saying, "Oh, you're a machine." I'm not. I'm a carbon-based life. I'm a carbon-based life form. And then his boss asks him if he's got any skills.
It's super hokey like that, and it's like I said, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's very. When his boss asks him, like, "Hey, I hope you're a good employee. I hope you don't have any skeletons in your closet." And he's like, "I don't have a skeleton. It's fine." When they first start
out,
"Ha,
you're hilarious."
Right at the beginning when they're first moving in, and she's like, "Oh, how does this sound?" And she's like, "I'm gonna make you waffles and French toast and bacon and juice and coffee and everything and flapjacks." And how does that all sound? And he's like, "Well, I don't eat, so." And he said, "Oh, that's
great. We don't have anything in the fridge."
which is a really shit joke when you consider that she is a human and she does need to eat.
Yes.
But the whole thing about her talking to her friend, she's literally like getting to know the reality as she creates it, so she has to make up all of her story.
Yes, there are parts where they look at the calendar, and there's a heart for the first episode. There's a heart on a specific day.
Oh, the calendar gag is so
remember,
great.
Like when their anniversary is, or if it's like the anniversary of their first kiss or date or wedding.
But see, this is
what song was at your wedding?
But this is the thing that I love so much, and this is where I say, like, okay, first of all, they're nailing the sitcom stuff, but also they're nailing the sitcom stuff, because every single, like, gratuitous, sappy sitcom out there has that one moment where either one or both of them, like, forgets an anniversary, either one or both of them forgets the other one's birthday or whatever.
They also have, like, the sitcom miscommunication.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure. And every sitcom has, like, that event. Like, oh, I got grounded today because I was saucy to the teacher. Or, hey, why'd you bring a horse home? That's hilarious. Like, I'm thinking farther forward into stuff like Full House and some of the shit that they did on that show. And it's like, so why is there a horse in the living room? Like, you don't think about it, but this one is another sort of standard one. Like, oh, I got to get everything ready. The boss is coming over for dinner, and if it doesn't go well, I'm not going to get the promotion in the job that I don't really know what the job is.
Exactly.
I do think I don't know who the guy is that plays the boss, but the wife is played by the mom from That 70s Show, and she's great.
That 70s Show.
And she's great. I've just got bullet points. I don't have any real plot stuff at all. I just have like little things that I like.
Basically, the summary of both episodes is, sitcom-y, like first it's like 50s sitcom-y, and then the next one is like 60s sitcom-y.
Yeah.
But something will happen like vaguely in the episode. Like in the first one, it's them not being able to remember their anniversary or their first song, or
basically
like
the boss is
there's little
the boss is being a dick.
Yes, and they don't understand why all that information is like
secretive.
Missing.
Well, to them it feels like they're being secretive and they're just not saying anything. But then the boss chokes in the middle of them being like sort of interrogated by the boss and the wife. He also starts choking. So between the stress of them not having answers for the conversation and him choking, bless
Yeah.
you, Vision has to sort of like phase his hand through the other guy's throat and pull out what he's choking on. But also the stress has her sort of like zone out for a second, and
Yes.
she talks to Vision like actual Vision, and is like, Vision, you need to like save him. Like, we need to shake off all this fake life for a second, and like, it's all good. But
The second episode, the kind of like weird reality stuff is ramped up just a little bit,
right.
where they like keep hearing strange noises in the house. At some point, Wanda goes outside and like everything's still in black and white, and then she goes up and she finds this like toy helicopter in the bushes,
Right.
and it's in color.
I do like that, and I want to hit on that plane in a second. I want to knock out a couple of the Easter eggs, especially in the first episode. They were a little bit more on the cute side. Everybody that's watched any sort of breakdown, anybody that watches anybody like Emergency Awesome or What Culture, or anybody that does like trailer breakdowns, they all notice the House of M wine bottle at the dinner table when the boss is there. For people that don't know, this whole show
is a big movement in the in X-Men comics,
which is basically, it ends with her making some wish that makes all the mutants go away. Everybody's,
they say like a huge percentage of mutants go away, like at least
I think it's something like
80%
yeah.
of mutants.
I think a lot of people are assuming that this is going to be the opposite of that, where she's going to do something that makes mutants exist, because they really do need a quick and easy way to bring in Fantastic Four, Deadpool, X-Men, and explain why they weren't in the MCU until now. So if they're going to do a reverse No More Mutants moment later on in the show, I think that makes sense. It's also going to lead into what's it called? Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So a lot from that little wine bottle. I think it says Maison de Mapri, but it translates into basically House of M. The one thing we didn't hit on yet is, because they're sitcoms, they have commercials.
Oh yeah, they have commercials, and it's all advertising shit that
ties into other stuff. The first one is the toaster, and the toaster from Stark Industries, that has two lights and a dial that make it look like a robot head. So here, Stark Industries basically have like the prototypical Iron Man head, which is fine or whatever. And as that toaster starts to beep, first of all, the light on the toaster is in color, which I didn't notice until I watched it the second time. But also, when it starts to beep, and when it starts to beep faster, the girl in the commercial looks really freaked out by it, which makes it not a great commercial, but it's fine. The end of the first episode is what I find the most interesting, because when the credits start to roll, it does start to roll the credits like a normal black and white sitcom does, but then it pulls back to that sitcom being on a screen amongst a bunch of other screens, obviously in color, and you see somebody grabbing a remote that's next to the screen. Now, I just thought of that as, okay, this is how they're introducing Sword. Like, Sword is the next incarnation of S.H.I.E.L.D. We know that only because
it's the space division of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Apparently it's slightly different. They've changed. I can't remember what it is. I'd have to look it up. They've changed for the MCU purposes. They're slightly changing what Sword stands for, and it's not for extraterrestrial life. It's for like sentient beings, which is basically
Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division.
Okay, fair enough. All right. But the other thing that I didn't figure out, somebody else had to tell me, is apparently the person watching that monitor is sort of like, basically they have a scope into Wanda's reality, so they're keeping an eye on what's going on. And apparently the person that's watching that scope is Darcy, who now works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, so she's the assistant that used to work with Jane Foster.
Yes. So we have Thor, who was... Sorry, no, we don't have Thor. We have Vision, who was sort of created kind of by Thor a little bit. We have WandaVision, who came in during Age of Ultron. We have Vision, who came in from Age of Ultron. And we have random secondary character from Thor. So that's fun. When we get into the next episode, we're going to talk about the voice we hear on the radio, and we'll get to that when we get to it. But apparently that is one of the agents of S.W.O.R.D. is Officer Jimmy Woo, who is
yeah, I see that right here.
who's the officer in
He's
Ant-Man.
the FBI. Yeah, he's the FBI agent for Ant-Man.
Well, apparently he now works
He's
for
the
Sword.
parole officer.
Apparently he now works for Sword as well, because we're just winding up random other people to be in this show, which is cool, because if they're going to use it, like, the multidimensional shit is going to dominate Phase 4, right? And if mostly through Wanda we're going to introduce the multidimensional thing because she's got the Reality Stone, then you kind of do have to pull characters.
She doesn't have the Reality Stone. She's always had powers that can warp reality.
No, but like her power comes from the Reality Stone.
Does it?
Because
hang on, I'm gonna go ahead. Keep going.
Because when they
look that up.
when they find her, oh my God, what? Is it Avengers: Age of Ultron? When they find her, it's because she's been experimented on by Strucker, who was working.
Yes, but they don't have the Reality Stone. The Reality Stone is still out in space. With they introduced the Reality Stone in the second Thor movie that nobody watches.
Oh fuck, you're right.
They give it to the Collector because they have the Tesseract on Asgard, so they don't want the Infinity Stones to be together.
That's right. The stone that they use to make
Vision is the Mind Stone.
That's Vision.
Yes.
But the one that they use to make Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver is whichever one came out of Loki's scepter.
That one's the Mind Stone as well.
Oh. So I'm all the way wrong.
It's both the Mind Stone, because Age of Ultron is when so Loki has the Mind Stone, and then they somehow lose the scepter at some point. They get the scepter
right.
back
You're
after all the
absolutely right.
experimentation.
You're absolutely right. I'm all the way wrong on that.
Yeah, the Reality Stone was with the Collector.
Yeah, because the Reality Stone.
Which was why that I was always very confused that in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector is trying to get the Power Stone. You'd think the Asgardians would be like, hey, motherfucker, we're trying to keep these as far apart as possible.
Yeah, well, because the Reality Stone was the ether, right?
Yes, the Reality Stone was the ether.
The Reality Stone was the only thing that wasn't, like, a solid until, like, we needed it to be a stone for the gauntlet.
Yeah, they make it a stone at some point. I think they do it in, I'm gonna do some research. I could do both, so continue.
Cool. I don't know, that's basically it, because that pullout for the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who we think is Darcy, that's not confirmed, by the way. I just think it would be really cool.
She's in the
credits?
Not in the credits, but she's in the casting.
I mean, I'm never, ever, ever going to complain about Kat Dennings being on my screen. I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the first one. It's a lot of introductory stuff. It's a lot of the show saying, hey guys, this is what the show is going to be like. But apparently it's only the first 3 episodes that are like sitcom based, and I guess they break after that, because this episode, the next episode we're going to talk about, and the episode that's coming out next Friday are 30 minutes. And the rest of them, the other 6, are proper 1-hour episodes. For anybody that watched, I know you don't watch Mandalorian, or you haven't yet, but
I haven't yet, no. I need to, but I haven't.
For anybody that has watched The Mandalorian, they're approximately 45 minutes to an hour. Like, it's not a dead set 60 minutes or anything like that, but it's...
Yeah, the first one was like 28 minutes, and the second one was like 36 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. Well, again, they were aping the length of an average sitcom back in the 50s, 60s, right? But if they're going back to a more regimented, like, MCU television show time slot by the 4th episode, then I'm assuming the 4th episode is where it breaks.
I believe so. But, so, background. Let's see, they had the ether, blah, 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 gave it to the Collector. Ether, once bonded with a host, can turn any dark matter. as well as suck the life out of humans and other mortals, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm getting to the part. In Avengers Infinity Wars, Thanos acquires the ether from the Collector, turns it back into the Reality Stone off screen.
Right.
I don't know how the fuck he does that, but he just does.
Because he just says, I'm Thanos, now you're a stone, bitch.
Because I'm Thanos, bitch.
Fisted by the Infinity Gauntlet. But yeah, so I was all the way wrong on the reality thing. But if she has the if her powers came from the Mind Stone, it still does make sense that her mind would be able to create the reality that they have now. But if she's going to lean into working with Doctor Strange for the Doctor Strange movie, and that's the multiverse thing, then I'm assuming they're going to sort of blur the line between what the Mind Stone can do and what the Reality Stone can do, because the Reality Stone is going to tie into doing all that universe hopping.
Well, I assume that they're going to have like some level of magic that she can.
Right.
Which is why they've brought the Agnes thing in.
Yeah, if she's going to be the friend that becomes the enemy, or the friend that becomes the spy, or the friend that becomes the whatever, because, friends are assholes in sitcoms.
In Infinity Wars, Vision reveals that due to Wanda's powers being linked to the Mind Stone, that she can use her powers to destroy it.
Well, yeah, they pretty much say that flat out, like, you were created by this, your type of energy is the type of energy that can destroy it. I'm just saying, because Wanda is eventually going to link up with Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is where we're really going to get into multiverse shit, that the show leading up to that movie is going to encompass a lot of different realities, so to speak. So the fact that they're pulling all these characters from all these different movies, like the minor characters, like the Agent Wu, or the Darcy, or Rambo that we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
It does make sense, because if you're going to go out into a bunch of universes, you have to pull this universe together first. There's my big shitty metaphor for the day. Going on to the next.
I want to get to the second episode is so much more interesting, just because it leaves you with, well, what the fuck is that? Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, the second, I will say, though, what I said about the first episode, like, the small, little, intricate, funny details are what pops me, even on the second episode, because now they're in the 60s, you see them in bed, and yeah, eventually they're going to get creeped out by all the noises outside, but at first, they really do take their time to make fun of the old sitcom, like, you couldn't have a couple in bed together, so a couple had two beds that were side by each, and whatever, and then as soon as they bring the bed together, like, it's indicated that they look at each other and be like, well, we have one bed now we can shag. Like, that's a thing. The animated intro for this one is really good. I never watched Bewitched, but it is like an animated Bewitched.
It's very Bewitched.
Which is kind of funny, because, like, excuse me. Oh my god, we've been talking for like an hour.
Minus the nose wiggling.
Yeah, but they do, even in the first episode, the way they graphically represent her doing some of her magic stuff is very Bewitched. So the irony there is they are people that can literally do magic, and to fit into the crowd, they're
doing fake magic.
They're doing fake magic for a magic show in their city. They're going to raise funds for the kids, and again, it's that...
For the children.
It's that... Oh my god. It's that whole sitcom thing of, like, what's the thing? There's no horse in the living room, but today the thing is there's a magic show. And because there's a magic show in the episode, suddenly the characters in the show like magic. It's very cut and paste, but they're very obvious with the cut and paste, and it just works. After the night of them hearing noises outside and really doing the whole, like, cowardly, who's going to look outside and deal with it type thing, they do go out in the morning. She does go out into the bushes, and she does see the little model plane that lands in the bush, the one that you were talking about, the one that's in color. And after watching about 40 minutes of black and white TV, man, does that color pop.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got the sword logo on it. So, subtlety is not on the menu today. All the ladies get together. Agnes, or is it Agatha or Agnes? Anyways.
It is Agnes, Agnes.
Anyways, so yeah, she takes her to a meeting to meet the rest of the ladies, and there's
Did I
like,
say A-E-Gen? No, A-G-N-E-S. Sorry.
yep, they're going to get together with the rest of the ladies
And there's like a main lady who's like
a bitch,
the queen bee of
who's
like
a
neighborhood
bitch,
kind of thing.
who's
Yeah,
like
who's
a bitch.
basically like the bitchy one.
If this was
The
a if this was a
the
modern
bitchy one
movie,
that everybody listens to because they're too like intimidated.
if
by her.
this was a modern movie, this role would have been played by Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
I'm just saying. But yeah, they're getting together. They're planning the magic show because it's a fundraiser.
For the kids.
No. For the children.
Yes, for the children.
And every time they say for the children, they sound like a cult, which is really creepy. Like I'm sure it's probably intentional.
Be the point.
Yeah, well. Yeah. Anyways, and Vision goes to meet up with the rest of the members of the Neighborhood Watch because of all the creepy noises he's heard out the night before. He wants to be part of the solution. He's all gung-ho to join the Neighborhood Watch, and really
And it's just like dudes hanging out.
It's just like dudes doing the chick gossip thing, realistically.
Exactly.
They make them eat a piece of gum, and the gum...
Big red gum, by
yeah,
the way.
Yeah. It's funny because when he chokes on the gum, they show like the animated version of him and the gum like twisting around all his gears.
Mm-hmm.
And the stupidest thing in the world, I saw people online talking about this. It's like, well, I mean, wouldn't Vision's system be a little bit more sophisticated than that? And I'm like, you're
real.
missing the point. You're really missing the point a whole lot. Wanda and Dottie have a little bit of conflict, and they've heard.
Well, this is where we also meet. What's her name?
Monica Rambeau.
Geraldine.
Yeah.
She's Geraldine in this.
Who's going to be Monica Rambeau, who is the daughter of Captain America's friend, because we're pulling in that thread as well. Basically, they're in the meeting, and she tries to, talk to her and make a friend with her and whatever, and the Queen Bee chick doesn't want anybody else talking because, it's her show and whatever. Wanda tries to be the nicer person and tries to help her clean up after the party because she was nominated too, I guess. Dottie breaks her hand on a glass, and the blood is in color, so only red. That's the thing. That's what it is. It's only red.
Mm-hmm.
Is the plane that landed? I didn't realize that till just now because I'm an idiot. The plane that landed.
It's red and yellow.
Well, okay, but the plane that lands in the thing was more or less red. She cuts herself. That's red. And she sort of spaces out a little bit, and the radio at this chick's house starts with a voice. It's help. The song "Help Me, Wanda" is playing on the radio, and then it gets broken up.
from the Beach Boys.
Yeah, good pull. I wouldn't have been able to say
the
who did
lyrics are "Help Me, Rhonda."
Yeah, but it's definitely been audio changed to "Help Me, Wanda." And then there's a voice that comes through. It's like, hey, Wanda, can you hear us? Do you need help? Where are you? We're trying to get to you. Whatever. And then we go to a commercial, and this is a commercial for the Strucker watch that has the Hydra logo on it, which just made me pop. Again, it's really, really good. We come back from the commercial, and that's just really... It took me a minute to remember who Strucker was, but Strucker is the one that experimented on Wanda, so obviously she would think of him at some point in her new reality. The gum in Vision's system
makes him drunk.
And that's
it's basically he's drunk.
Basically, it's like you just got to go with it. There's no explanation as to why gum makes him drunk. He comes out
drunk. Everything's gummed up, so he just acts drunk.
But he comes out in front of all these people, acting drunk, doing real magic that she has
using his powers in broad daylight, basically.
That she has to keep making it look like it's fake. When he lifts up the piano and she makes it look like it's just a cardboard piano, Buddy in the crowd is just like, that was my grandmother's piano, and now it's a cardboard plank. They do real magic at the fake magic show. They try to do the, make somebody disappear in the box thing without putting anybody in the box.
Yeah, he forgets to put Wanda in the box.
So she sort of
make her disappear.
So she sort of magics up Geraldine in the box. It all works out, and it is one of those sitcom-y endings too, where like everybody
it's very like sitcom heavy-handed.
Super heavy-handed, but also like everybody that had a problem with them through the entire episode just doesn't now.
Yeah.
They go back to the house. They talk about like how they are a real odd couple, because they are an odd couple. And then do they magic up the rings at the end of the first episode or the end of the second episode?
Yeah, that's the first episode, because the second episode, when they talk about this is for the children, they return and Wanda is like, got a baby bump now.
Yeah, all the way out there, like out of nowhere. But also, they still hear the bumping. They still hear something knocking around. They still hear something like it's knocking on their front door, but it's not.
This is the coolest scene for me. They go out. Can I do it?
Yeah, you can.
They go outside and they see somebody coming out of a manhole, like in the street. And it's like this he's in like a beekeeper suit, and he has like a bunch of bees around him and stuff. You can't see his face through. And she like loses her shit, and almost like you're rewinding like an old like VHS tape.
Should say the guy also has like sword gear on.
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
Oh, on his back it's the sword logo.
I didn't see that. I've only watched it once,
yeah.
So I haven't caught all the little details.
Yeah. Well, that's why she freaks out, because he's basically breaking in to hit her reality.
It almost like rewinds the tape back to the point where she asks Vision, "Is this real?" when she has the baby bump, and he says, "I believe it is, darling." And they, kiss, and that's when everything transitions into more like 70s stuff and
color.
There's color now.
It brings up an interesting point, because there's I don't think anybody breaks through to talk to them in the first episode. I'd have to go back and look. But there's a breakthrough when somebody tries to talk to her through the radio, and then there's this person trying to break through at the end. But I could be putting too much into it, but maybe there's an element of every time they try to break through, she jumps forward a decade and gets like out of their reach again.
There's no breakthrough in
the first one. Yeah, because the first one is just like her stressing out and freaking out and whatever.
The first one is them like not remembering little details like when they got married or where they moved from.
Right, but we know that like from a practical level, like the reason they're like going up by the decades is so that by the time the show is over, their kids are old enough to be in like future Avengers movies, right? But if in the canon of the show, the reason why they keep hopping through the decades is so that the people trying to break into her reality can't catch up to them, I think that could be a really cool storytelling technique, but I don't know if I'm right or not on that.
That's what I really like about this. Like, when I saw the beekeeper, I'm like, what the hell is that? And like the plane, I didn't see the logos on anything, so I'll be super interested to rewatch it.
Yeah. Well, I watch way too much preamble stuff, right? Like I watch, all the people that I keep mentioning when we do like movie reviews. I watch CinemaSins. They don't do as much preview stuff, but What Culture main channel and What Culture Comics have done a lot of preamble leading into the MCU.
See, I don't watch a lot of preamble because I want to be like I want them to take me on a journey. I don't want to try and make up the journey and then be disappointed.
Right. Oh, I don't watch it so that they tell me what's to come. Like I will say again, I always try to give the credit where it's due. The best example I can go to, anybody that's into anything that's like comic books, Star Wars, Walking Dead, that kind of stuff, go find Charlie on Emergency Awesome, because he will tell you what's up without giving you a spoiler. Like, this is what's coming up. Hey, this is kind of what they did in the comics. Maybe keep your eye out for like this mention or this reference or this Easter egg. I think this is where they might be going. But without the way they do it in such a way, I couldn't do it because I don't have the knowledge to do it, and I don't have the tact to do what they do. But it's basically, hey, here's a little symbol or here's a little thing for you to keep an eye out for. And I've already seen all the advertising for the sword show that's coming up, so I've seen that logo a lot, so it jumps to me now. So when I see the sword logo, it just kind of pops out. But also, like, I know that, like we say, like Darcy is going to be in it, Rambo is going to be in it, the Agent Wu character is going to be in it because I've heard it talked about already. So no, like 100% of the time, like you're going to miss Easter eggs, especially with Marvel. Marvel loves a good Easter egg. But
this was so good. I also watched it after the Joker, so it was like infinitely better after I was real sad. So, you know, my enthusiasm from it may be a little overhyped, but
Oh no, it's
really
ridiculous.
love this.
But see, the thing is, like, I love the stuff that they're doing that contributes to the story, and I love the stuff that they're doing just for doing it. Like, I love the stuff that's leading forward into more Marvel stuff, but I also like the stuff that's just making fun of sitcoms.
Yeah,
And
I was like, I really loved, like, because it's funny. It's actually funny.
the best thing is they have a studio audience for the sitcom, because that's how they did it back in the day. Apparently, and again, conjecture, it could be exaggerated or whatever. Apparently, the NDA that people had to sign to be part of that studio audience is like 5 pages long.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I part of me would love to have been part of that studio audience, but at the same time, I know myself. I couldn't sit on it for that long. Like, I couldn't just, like, I couldn't not talk about it, you know?
And that's why NDAs exist.
Yeah. I lock myself in a room and be like, okay, tell me when it's out so I can talk about it. But yeah, no, any number of ways that this could go. We had two. This is a bit longer than the next one's going to be because the next one is only 1 half-hour episode, and then after that, I'm assuming we break out more into like current day MCU territory. Then
I don't know. I'm super stoked. Either way.
I think we said, depending on how much people like of what we're doing here, and if we can keep on it and do it at a reasonable time, we're gonna hop on over and do Falcon and Winter Soldier after this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for those of you that didn't bother listening to what we said about the Joker, which I shouldn't say because it's actually going out a day after than this, we're also gonna look forward to the trilogy of Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. And apparently, I also have to watch a movie about a couch that eats people.
A bed
that eats.
people.
Okay, I'm so sorry for
You're
that
messing
distinction.
up the whole lore of the movie
Yes, the movie that's so good you can watch it on YouTube
for free.
for free. Because good shit is always for free. Anyway, so this has been WandaVision, and we've rambled our way through that. When it gets out of this sort of sitcom-y thing and into whatever it's going to be at the end, we may be able to do a little bit more of a this happened and this happened and this happened, but right now it's just they did this and it was funny, and they did that and it was funny, and it worked and it was clever.
It was just enough for people to be like, all right, I'm watching this.
Yeah. Because, oh god, the one thing I will say, and this is what I was thinking, I should say this and then we'll go, but I didn't know how this was going to work as a sitcom because I've always given the most credit to comedy out of all the genres because, like, you know, angry is angry, mad is mad, sad is sad, happy is happy, action is action. Everybody has a different idea of what's funny. Being funny is hard. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are knocking this out of the park.
They're so funny.
Considering they have to, like, hop so many different genres, so many different time frames of what was comedy at a particular time, I think, like I say, 2 episodes in, I think they're knocking it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm going to ask you this right now, and I'll ask you this at the end of the episode again next week. Because we know where this goes, do we think Doctor Strange cameos on the show?
Probably not.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a thing where this brings us up to the point of the Doctor Strange movie of when they need to, like, get him involved. But I don't think he actually becomes involved in the movie.
Okay, I'm going to say he does just to be contradictory, and we'll see where it goes. Why don't you tell people where to find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram, Black Cat Feline. I should use social media more often, but
Probably.
I don't.
Probably. Not in a dark corner by yourself after watching the Joker.
Yeah, for those of you who are going to see the next episode, he asked me that same question. I said, you could find me crying in a dark corner.
Anyways, and either way, whether the show is happy or whether the movie is sad, you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz, she's been Kristen. This has been episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision, kind of FLIX fix adjacent. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, me and Kristen are out of here. Bye, guys.